Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the potential departure of Konstantinos Mavropanos from West Ham, as being reported by Florian Plettenberg in Sky Germany, but also from Extra Time United employee. There are rumours of West Ham wanting to give Mavropanos a new contract. So, two very conflicting reports there. Will Mavropanos leave? Will Mavropanos stay? What are my thoughts on it? But before we get into that, would you please do me a favour and like, comment and subscribe? Your guys' support has been crazy over the past few days. Honestly, I've been loving getting involved with you guys in the comments and just chatting all things West Ham, even from non-West Ham fans getting involved in the comments. It's been great just to have you guys to talk to and chat all things West Ham with, especially in this quiet period for us as West Ham fans for now. As soon as football starts tomorrow, it will become just as busy again and our nerves will be back. Speaking of nerves though, Mavropanos leaving West Ham United, I believe both stories to be true. Now, let's be honest here. What Plettenberg and Sky Germany have said is that there is interest in Mavropanos, not that Mavropanos wants to leave. Plettenberg said Mavropanos is set to leave West Ham this summer as he is seeking a new challenge. That is all this says, right? It doesn't mean that he's definitely wanting out. He's not thinking about sticking around. It just means that, he might be attracted to the interest coming from elsewhere. And apparently Borussia Dortmund are one of the clubs that are interested. Obviously, Mavropanos does have links to Germany as well, played at Stuttgart for a few seasons. So the links make sense, and the rumour is 30 million euros would be enough to take Mavropanos away from West Ham. I don't know what to think about this. I would like either scenario, I think, only because I think 30 million for Mavropanos is a lot of money. Although he's having a really good season right now, I think if you look at the longevity of his career, I think 30 million would be a fair fee. I think we could be happy with that. We could work with that. We could get another player of his stature with that. Especially if we keep Todibo and Dizazi, get another centre-back in. Happy days. What I would prefer to happen is that new contract, which is being reported by an ex-West Ham United employee. And I think that is what I hope is closer, and maybe this is his agent or whoever say, oh, he's seeking a new challenge, he wants to go to Germany so we can up the wages in that deal, so we keep him around. Which I know some people might not like, but that's just how football and agent talk goes these days, where agents will try and get the best deal for themselves and their players so they can make the most money. It's that simple. So basically, my initial feeling with this is, don't panic, don't worry, it's all probably going to be fine in the end. That is kind of my takeaway. But overall, I think Mavropanos, if he goes to Borussia Dortmund, he's earned the move. I think he's really worked on himself for the last season, and I think it would make sense for bigger clubs to be interested in him, especially with his contract status. I think he's got 2 years left in his current deal after this season. I can't remember how long he signed for, so that could be incorrect. And it makes sense for West Ham wanting to sign him a new contract. Mavropanos is a very lucky footballer right now. His current club want him to stay, and they're offering him more money, and also bigger clubs are coming in for him and saying, come join us instead. It's a good time to consider Mavropanos, guys. I would love him to stay. Obviously, I know I said at the start that I think 30 million is a fair fee, but taking off my business hat for a second and keeping my West Ham hat on, I love this man. I think he's been brilliant for us. I think he has shown what the West Ham way is, even though I've told you many a time that I don't really believe in the sentence the West Ham way. It's not really something that I subscribe to as a phrase. I think it's a load of rubbish because nobody can really tell us what it means. But I think he's got that grit and determination and that fight and that never say die attitude, which to me is the best explanation of the West Ham way, even though I don't truly believe in it. And I think he's one of those players in the modern era that exudes it. Souček, never say die. Jared Bowen, never say die. People say he's had bad performances. He's got the second most assists in the Premier League this season, and he's got, I think, 9 goal involvements in the last 10 games. So if that doesn't scream always, on the pitch, always giving his all, I don't know what does. And I think, to me, those three especially, when they go, and if we go down, they'll all go. There's no doubt about that now. I think this puts it in concrete that Mavropanos will leave West Ham if we go to the Championship. When all those three go, it will be a very dark day for West Ham because, yes, as footballers, I think you could easily replace Mavropanos and Souček to some degree, right? Bowen, different level, different stratosphere, that's difficult. But in terms of their love for the club and their never say die attitude and their consistency at just trying to do the best for their teammates and themselves, I think that's rare in football these days. I think that as a player, to legitimately give a damn about your football club in the way these guys do is rare, because loyalty isn't the same thing that it is like it used to be. You look at Alexander Isak, for example, right, who was like, kissing the bad, loved it, was winning the Carabao Cup, and was like, this is only the start. And then he leaves for Liverpool because Liverpool come knocking and he doesn't want to play for him, doesn't want to train. You wouldn't get that in the olden days because the money wasn't the same and you could be more loyal to a club. And that's not me calling out Alexander Isak at all. I think he's a great player and that Liverpool move eventually will work out for him. But I'm just saying that players can be easily swayed, can be easily distracted by other clubs. It's not that difficult. So to have players like Souček and Mavropanos, and you go back to players like Sofao, who yes wanted a new deal and probably rightfully so deserved one because he was literally on about a youth contract in terms of wages. They would still do everything for the badge. They'd never throw a hissy fit. You'd hear them in their local media, whenever they did international break, maybe bring stuff up, but you would never see that on the pitch. I'd argue you could see that in Lucas Paqueta, Mohamed Kudus, Fulkrug to some degree. Players that just couldn't care. Aguerd, I think, is the perfect one. Naif Aguerd, for me, is the perfect example of just didn't care. I made a video when I first started the channel of why we should keep Aguerd and why I really want him to work out. And he didn't come back wanting to put up the fight. He just wanted to leave. And you know what? Fair play. If a player wants to go, let him go. Right, I ain't going to complain. I'm not going to moan. Just let him go. And it's one of those things where it's really unfortunate. And Mavropanos could easily have fell into this hole, especially with how he was performing a couple seasons ago. It would have been easy for him just to fall into this hole of not caring about West Ham because there was no love from the crowd. He was getting booed. He was getting the Max Kilman treatment. Whenever Mavropanos was getting subbed on, he was getting booed. And it was very easy for him to be like, do you know what? I don't need this. I could easily just not care. Instead, he fought for his place. He fought for his right to be on the team. And not only did he gain the respect, but he flipping earned it. He earned the respect of West Ham fans and football fans all around. The amount of videos and TikToks I've seen of people going, Mavropanos is really good right now. Although it was a bit of a funny meme when he just stopped Man City winning against us. Arsenal fans were like, we've always loved you, Mavropanos. But they wouldn't make that video if Mavropanos wasn't putting in good performances. Yes, although in and of itself it is kind of a meme that they've always loved him because he barely made an impact there, unfortunately, just due to injuries and that sort of thing. But it shows what kind of character he is now. And you see him doing interviews. Every time he does an interview, he speaks really well about the club and where they need to be. And it's not media talk. You get some of these guys and it's very much media talk. Or they just don't want to do it. Like, I've never been that interested in hearing Aaron Wan-Bissaka in an interview because I can just tell he doesn't really like to do the talking. He just likes to do the effort on the pitch, which is fine. But Mavropanos, when he does interviews, is really interesting to listen to because he's very analytical. He's very honest. And he's very much been one of, if not the biggest leader behind Jared Bowen at just trying to rally the troops, try to get us up that table, get us up the form table. And now we're 5th in the form table. I know the form table means jack shit if we don't stay up. But it means something to us as fans, right? The effort they've put in will go down in history no matter what. We could say, even if this isn't the Great Escape 2.0, these guys were the nearly men. And they tried their asses off. This is not going to go down unless we lose the next 7. Unless we lose the remaining games. I don't think we're going to look back at this group with any less fondness than I already do now. I love this group. I don't think we're going to lose that fondness for these group of players. So going back to Mavropanos and potentially leaving, yes, it would suck. But he's earned it. And I think fair enough to him. I would be more than happy for him if he left West Ham to go to a Champions League club like Dortmund, who are doing incredible right now, by the way. For him to get Dortmund interested is mental. And yes, I believe the links. Do I believe he wants out? That's the part of the story I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. I don't. I don't believe that for a second entirely. I'm not saying he's not interested by the prospect of going to Borussia Dortmund. Those are two very different things. Wanting out and also considering the move are two different things. You know, if it was he's exploring, that'd be fine. But the term seeking, I don't know. I don't know. That's I know it's very minor details, but that's just how my brain's wired. I can't help it. So what I would say to any of you guys is, don't let this change your opinion on Mavropanos if you can. Don't worry yet, because I'm sure on the pitch you'll still see the Greek god give absolutely everything. I can be proven wrong. If he starts being rubbish till the end of the season now, then this video becomes redundant. But in terms of Mavropanos, going 30 million, it's a good price. It's a good price, and that is the quoted price, and that's the price we better get. 25, I'd think, would be the lower end of acceptable. Anything under that, what are we doing? I think the next big thing to talk about is how settled we would be at centre-back with Todibo and Disasi, and maybe Mavropanos leaving would be the door opening for Disasi to come on a permanent. Now again, that is up to Disasi. If he wants to stay, the speak has been from the club that it's up to him entirely. If he wants to stay, it's got to be his call, and we're not going to get involved, and we're not going to try and, you know, tempt him. It's just going to be all on him if he wants to stay at the club. But 30 million for a centre-back is decent. You look at the fact that we got Todibo for a similar price when we signed him, and Todibo had a much higher ceiling when we signed him, and still probably does now, than Konstantinos Mavropanos, right? Todibo's not that old. He's still got a lot of legs in him. He's finally finding his confidence under Nuno. He is a decent centre-back, and he could go on to be a great centre-back. So when you consider that, I think it's a great deal. I don't want it to happen. That's the thing. I think it's one of those possibilities where, yes, it could happen, and maybe for him as a player, you know, you kind of go, do you want fair play, mate? Go play at a high level. Go play at the level you deserve. And for West Ham, we're sort of in the situation whereas if we can keep the player we currently got on loan, sign him up, we wouldn't be in that dire straits. We'd have to sign another centre-back, but there are other centre-backs out there that would still allow Disasi and Todibo to be the number one pairing. And we've seen that pairing work as well. I'm not saying it's as good as Mavropanos and Disasi, but with a bit of training and with a few games together, they could get that good. The issue is that they've not had much time together to kind of build up that partnership. My only issue is we'd leave the season with just Kilman and Todibo as centre-backs, and that would horrify me. So we need to make sure that we don't do that. We need to make sure that we continue to just work as hard as possible to get good centre-backs in. But Mavropanos leaving, on the surface of it, it's one of those things where it's annoying, but I entirely understand it. And while I don't want it to happen, I certainly would not begrudge him the move. But more importantly, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy, and bye-bye.